This is the Digital Marketing Experts Podcast episode. No, why am I trying to sound like a radio announcer? Experts in the Wire, episode 9. Mike Ambassador Bruny. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Experts on the Wire. This is where we share digital marketing insights from the smartest minds online. I want to jump right in today's episode by reading 2 reviews that we recently received in the iTunes store. One is by Conrad O'Connell. You can find him by that exact name on Twitter, at Conrad O'Connell. Conrad says, "Till now, there really hasn't been any serious effort made towards a good SEO podcast. I think Dan is doing a fantastic job with the one that he's created right here. It's covering a good range of topics. All of the content has been great so far. My only minor note is to perhaps cut down the intro just a touch and get right into the content or interview." Thanks, Conrad, for the feedback. 5 stars, by the way. Yeah, we're going to definitely try to keep the intros nice and concise. Hopefully I fulfill that here. The second review is by Irina Jordan. You can find her on Twitter by her name as well, at Irina Jordan. 5 stars. I found Dan Chura's podcast by searching for podcasts on data analytics, SEO, growth hacking, and digital marketing. This podcast definitely delivers. Dan has an outstanding lineup of speakers who tell you how it is and what really works. If you want deep expertise in optimizing your site, data analytics, growth hacking, and excelling at your digital marketing craft, this podcast is a must listen. You can thank me later. Irina, I want to thank you now for that 5-star review and for sharing a bunch of the episodes on Twitter recently as well. So thanks everyone for the reviews in iTunes. I noticed just today we are on the so-called front page of New and Noteworthy for the marketing and management category in the iTunes store under podcasts as well. So the reviews continuing to coming in and the ratings will help keep us there and hopefully give us some more visibility in the iTunes store. Today's episode is a very exciting one. We're jumping outside of the SEO world today into live event networking. My guest is Mike Ambassador Bruny. You're going to learn all about that middle name, by the way, in the episode. Mike is the Director of Attendee Engagement for Social Media Marketing World. This, of course, is one of the biggest digital marketing conferences run by Social Media Examiner. He was also the operations manager and brand ambassador for Intel for 10 years and the author of 41 Hip-Hop Affirmations to Change Your Life. This episode is for anyone attending in-person events, whether you're the business owner, the marketer, the employee of a company, the CEO of a company. You're going to learn so many great tips from Mike for how to prep before you attend, how to meet people and connect when you might not know what to say, how to end uncomfortable conversations, the follow-ups, and he's going to tell us just a little bit about his hip-hop affirmations at the end. So definitely be sure to listen to the entire episode because Mike is also doing a contest with not 1, but 2 prizes at the end of this episode. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then after this episode, number 9, definitely check out episode 10 coming out Friday with Christy Hines. She shares so much information, tools, and resources for bloggers and content creators. She dropped more tools and resources in any one of these episodes that I did not know about. And I know about a lot of tools because I'm doing this stuff every day. So I think you will find that episode number 10 with Christy extremely valuable. With that, let's jump into episode 9 with Mike Ambassador Bruny. I refer to you as Mike Ambassador Bruny. So humor me for a second here. That is not a middle name, correct? That is represents who you are and what you do. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, it's not a middle name because my wife won't let me yet. I'm working on that. It does represent who I be and what I do. The true story is I went to a branding workshop that was put on by one of my mentors, Andre Taylor. And we were just listing words that describe us. And as I was doing it, he walked by and he was like, "You might want to put down ambassador." And the reason why he said that is a couple of months before that workshop, I held something at my house that was called a vision party. And what I told people to do is come as you would like to envision yourself 10 years down the line. And we had vision boards where we cut up stuff for magazines for people to put together. And he just noticed how people were kind of hanging on my every word and what to do next. So he said, put down ambassador. That stuck. I got the courage to use it because it takes a little courage to come out and just say, okay, I am now Mike Ambassador Bruny. My handle is Ambassador Bruny, and to own that. So that's kind of that's the true backstory of it. The obvious things that have kind of unfolded is just seeing that I play in a number of different circles, and I love to connect them. I love to pull into different spaces and help people connect. I think one of the main things when it comes to networking, but the thing that I focus on really is networking at conferences. And that kind of came about for me. I went to a conference called WDS when it first started. And what I did was I didn't know anyone, so I went online beforehand and I just started connecting with people and adding value. And what I noticed is when I stepped foot in Portland, Oregon at that conference, there were people saying, Ambassador Bruny, Ambassador Bruny. And I'm like, who are you? So I created this anticipation that I did not anticipate. And I started experimenting with it, and I noticed that it happened over and over, that the work you do beforehand allows you to, as I like to put it, step into a conference and get greeted like Norm from the TV show Cheers.
Awesome. I love that story. So let's now go back to where we first kind of started, was the networking and specifically at conferences. So this is where I want to kind of dive in tactically and also like theoretically how people can utilize leveraging at networking at conferences. So let's start at the beginning. Why is this important for people to be networking at conferences? What are the reasons why, and what are the goals?
Well, I've had the good fortune of doing a number of things. One is been going to conferences for years. Two is actually working with conferences, and one in particular that I've done a lot of work for the past 4 years is social media marketing world. But I've also done stuff with the Massachusetts Conference for Women, with Pam Slim's conferences. And I just like to watch people and see how they, just kind of how they go about their way at conferences. And one of the reasons why I think it's important is you pay a lot of money. Like I've experienced this. You pay money for a ticket. You pay money for transportation. You pay money for food. Now, you can tell me, as most people will if you give them a survey, content is the number one reason why I go. Well, if there's a virtual ticket, save your money, right? If there's a virtual ticket, why go? Content is it, right? No. A saying that I tied to my program, Hashtags to Handshake, is long after the conference is concluded, it's the connections that continue. And there's magic that can happen when people connect. I've written a report that's called the Conference Networking Report, where I interviewed people to find out things like, hey, what's your biggest conference networking challenge? And a lot of times it's people just feel like they don't know what they have to offer. So it's those type of things where I want to provide ease. I watch people. I see how they have difficulty joining conversations or leaving conversations, or they're holding onto their glass of wine or beer like that's what's going to save them. And I just want to help people to have better experiences so they can really have better lives and businesses, because the connections you make at conferences can really change things for you. I look at it as it's long game. It's the long game. It's not hey, here I am, something for you to buy.
And let's talk about, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's talk about what some of these positive business results can be for you when you attend a conference. I know I've experienced them, but in your experience, what are some of those business outcomes that people have achieved through networking?
First of all, I would think about just a high level of a funnel, right? This is an unbelievable place to add a whole bunch of people who have some kind of interest, right? The same interest. You can add a bunch of people. I'm not saying it's automatically going to lead to business, but you're in a good place to start having some conversations about a certain topic and looking at how that slowly filters through your funnel. Hey, are these people who you can collaborate with? Not just say, hey, buy my stuff, but hey, can we do something together that can get more people to buy our stuff? There is the chance that you may get to work together, because you get to know each other, you get to experience each other. So those are some of the outcomes, I think, is that you can have a huge amount of, if you want to say, leads, in quotes, maybe qualified leads, but just people who are of a similar ilk that you're going to connect with. And that could lead to collaboration. That could lead to straight up business together. That could lead to referrals. So those are some of the things.
I've experienced that as well. I mean, just to add to that, so I've met people at events that would never be a client, but they've referred clients to me through that relationship, or just met people that will then follow up and follow me on social media. And then through that following, then it just expands my audience and my reach, even though that person would never be a client. So there's all of these other secondary things, I think, like you said, other than just getting leads. So right. Absolutely. So I think you've clearly established the why of this being important. So let's kind of go through the steps and break it down into before and during and then after the event, and what people can do in those 3 stages. And I'm not sure if I'm just guessing as that's how you would break it down. And if I'm incorrect about that, let me know. But let's start with before the event. What are things people can do leading up to it? Like you said, when you got to that event, people already knew you. There must have been steps that you took to get that to happen.
Right. Now, the steps that I took was really just going into social media, and really, whether in this case it was a Facebook page that was tied to the event. It could be a hashtag. It could be a number of other. It could be a private forum that's created for the page. But I just started connecting with people, and a good question I always ask is, "Hey, who else is going? Where are you coming from?" Like those questions that can come up, which some people may say, "Oh, that's small talk," but I say there's no such thing as small talk. In reality, we're really just trying to find where our lives intersect. So just take it as such, and you can get to deeper stuff as you go. So that was like what I did. What I've learned over time and what I do now is more focused on step 1. Stop thinking about the conference. Think about your goals, life or business, and then see how the conference fits into that. Not the other way around. What's my conference goal? Your conference goal is to see how it aligns to your life and business goals. That's where I would tell people to start. And then thinking about, well, who are the type of people who can help me move those things forward? So, and then also actually even before that is looking at, well, what are some of the things that I'm looking to learn? And what are the challenges I'm currently facing? The challenges actually makes for great conversation, and that can lead to during, where you can actually ask someone. Let's say, for example, you're having trouble figuring out the keywords for your blog post. It just doesn't seem to be resonating. You can start off with that. You can say, hey, my name is Mike. How's it going? Hey, I see you're at this conference. Hey, man, one of the things that I'm struggling with is this. Are you finding the same thing? Have you found a solution for that? It's different than just, hey, how's the weather? Or isn't, go Pats or wherever you're from. So those are some of the things that I say to look to do beforehand, is get clarity on yourself, and then look at who are the people you think who can help you. What are you looking to learn? What you're looking to learn helps to make it easier and kind of ties to during, which is let that guide what sessions you go to. Sure, you probably want to see the speaker that's the biggest and baddest person. That's nice. But does it align to your goals? Does it align to where you're going? If not, you may want to think twice if you're going to spend extra time and miss a session in order to shake someone's hand and say, I am your biggest fan boy or fan girl. So
let's go back to connecting in social media beforehand,
yes,
for the event. Because I think that word, it sounds great. But then when a lot of people go to do that, they don't know what to do. Like, so for example, you and I both went to see Gary Vaynerchuck speak in Boston last night.
Yes.
I went to the Ask Gary V hashtag and the word Boston in Twitter. So I searched that in Twitter. I saw probably about a dozen people that tweeted that they were going to the event. Now, the position I'm in right now, I wasn't like super interested in pre-networking with people for this particular event. But let's say I was. In that case, what do I, like somebody tweets, yeah, I'm going to see Gary V in Boston tonight. Like, what do I say to them? Do I just favorite the tweet? Do I reply back to them? What's an actual tangible thing that somebody could do?
A couple of things. One is see who the person is. right? Like click on just using Twitter as an example, click on their profile. Maybe there's something there that you can connect with, So I would do that. Click on their profile, see who they are. I'll refer to them by name, right? That's different than just using their handle, but actually use their name, which sometimes throws people off because it's like, oh, this person is actually, if the name is available, is actually paying attention to it. You could say, hey, based on what you find in the profile, you could comment on something there. Like if they say, I'm a parent of a toddler, and just using myself as an example, I may say, hey, so am I. Let's see what Gary has to say about being a parent of a toddler. Like just little conversations that you can have that helps you to build some kind of affinity. You could also tell them, which I do a lot, is tell them what you're going to be wearing. Hey, I'll be wearing this. For me, it's usually, hey, I'll be easy to find, black guy and bow tie, or something of that nature. Have some fun. And that's a way to just connect that can lead to meeting up in person.
I'm glad you brought up the bow tie. Let's stick with this for a second. And you did a few Snapchats about this about a month ago.
Yeah.
So tell us about the bow tie, and it's a fun thing, but it has a practical attribute to it, which you just mentioned. So tell us about that a little bit.
Right. And it doesn't start off that way, right? It actually ties back to WDS. All roads lead back to World Domination Summit, the first one, which I believe was in like 2013. I went and I brought a bunch of bow ties. I decided that each day I was going to wear a different bow tie. First time I've ever done that. I've owned a couple of bow ties, but this almost felt like when I established my brand as the bow tie dude. Every day I said, I'm going to wear a different one. I have the outfit planned out. So I started doing that, and people just started associating the bow tie with me. And it's, I tweeted going to the event, to the Gary V event, which going back to when he first put out jab, 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 right hook. And I was going to go from Boston to New York. At 5 a.m., when I was about to hit the road, I took a picture of my bow tie, orange bow tie, and said, hey, Gary, got my orange bow tie on. I'm driving from Boston to New York. Look forward to seeing you. If you go back and watch that video, you will see him go, hey, he'll point me out because I had the orange bow tie.
Oh, interesting.
So you can leverage it. It doesn't have to be a bow tie. It could be pocket square. It could be scarf for ladies. Something that lets people know it's you.
So I know we put aside, we're still going to go through the process of before, during, and after the conference.
Yes.
We're not putting that aside, but let's just go down this path just one more moment. And you know me fairly well. What would I do to stand out? What fashion statement could I make? Or how would you coach me through that? Because, a lot of people are like me. Like sometimes I don't really want to stand out necessarily. Like Rand Fishkin, Rand Fishkin will wear his yellow sneakers or his shoes. That's like his thing. And he stands out. Seth Godin has his yellow rimmed glasses. Like, let's say I wanted to stand out. What type of thing, knowing me, could I do?
For you, I tie SEO, right? Like in my brain, I tie SEO. It's like I would give some kind of SEO tip that is so like only you can give. And I would take a picture of yourself, but glasses up. So it's not the full face, but it's almost like this thing that when he's looking around and he sees like, wait a minute, that looks like, so it kind of has this, wait, he has to almost take a double take. Wait, you kind of look like for you may put a little something on your glasses. If you can get a little color thing on your glasses. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that come out. If it's hey, scruffy beard, like those things that you can play around with. You could add a piece of clothing. Like you could easily add to your garb some kind of what is this thing called? A fleece type vest.
Oh yeah.
So something that's like lightweight, no big deal, but it's yellow fleece or red fleece. Probably not black fleece, right? But something of that nature that allows the connection to happen.
I actually like that idea, the fleece.
Yeah.
I might do that. Next time you see me, I might be wearing a fleece.
Yeah. So, you have to also account for the weather though. Yeah. Right? The fleece is good for, spring, something, but you may have to get a different kind of vest that's lighter, windbreaker type material or something of that nature for the warmer times.
Yeah, good old New England. So let's jump back into our going through before, during, and after the conference. Anything else that we may have left out that somebody can do before attending the conference that you want to mention?
I think that's it. Just get clear on what's going on in your life, and then connect with a few people. Think about who are the people who can do it. Think about your biggest challenges. Just have those things ready.
Would you recommend, even if there's somebody you really want to get in touch with, to email them ahead of time? Like if you want to absolutely make sure that you meet this specific person?
I would say yes, you could definitely email them. I'm not a big proponent of hey, the big speaker, and because it's a long-term play. And to be honest, the person who's sitting or standing to your left or right is more likely to help you than that big speaker. That's just been my experience, and that's what I preach. Just trying to stay in the before phase right now.
Yep. Very interesting. Great. So yeah, let's move to the during. So it's the day of the conference, you show up. What kinds of things would you recommend people do?
I would recommend to have a couple of, and this, some people may resonate or not, I have a couple of affirmations. Right? Have a couple of things that you can say to yourself that's going to help ground you. And you may need them during the conference, right? You may need them like, oh my gosh, I just had this horrible interaction with someone. I went to talk to them and they totally turned their back on me. I need you to have something that's going to help you get grounded. And remember that what you're building with this networking and connections is really a garden. And if you've ever, or if you know anything about gardens, there are going to be some weeds. You got to just pluck them and keep moving, right? The beauty of the garden is not dictated by those weeds, those jerks that you just ran into. I need you to please remember that. So have some words that you can say to yourself. Start to tweet, a hashtag, and those people, have a little list of a couple people that, hey, I'm looking for you. I'm standing by pole F3, those type of things to connect with people, I would say during. I like to write things down, so know what sessions you're going to. Make people part of what you're doing. I started doing something called networking walks. I've done it for some conferences. When I first experimented with it, all I did was I wanted to walk. Mike Ambassador Bruny, wanted to walk. I invited others. They came. And what I noticed is that people started forming pairs. It was just amazing. They saw like 2 by 2. They started to come together, and then they would change and switch. So if you're into yoga, invite others. If you're into CrossFit, invite others. Invite others to be part of it. Don't be afraid to. And if no one shows up, that's okay. You wanted to do yoga, you wanted to do CrossFit anyway. But it allows you to be part of a community within a community.
And when you say invite, do you mean in person? Do you tweet it? How do you invite them? I
would tweet, leverage the hashtag.
Got it.
You could also do it before, but you could do it during. Hey, in the morning at this time, coordinate it based on the time. It may be early, or it may be a midday after lunch. People are getting sleepy. Hey, why don't we go for a walk? I'm trying not to use his name as much. I was going to say it worked for Steve Jobs, but I just need another example of someone who walks and talks.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff.
Got it. Great. What's your feeling on, I don't know if we're jumping around a little on the during phase, but what's your feeling about the after parties or the people going to bars afterwards? I've always had mixed feelings about this. I can see the value. It provides extra networking. Sometimes it can cross more into seeming like a social thing rather than business. So what are your feelings on that?
My feeling is like business is social, man, especially at this conference. The early mornings, which is one of the reasons I do the walk, and then also at night, those are the times. If it's let's say it's the first day of the conference, what you'll see after that night is you'll see people who look like they've known each other forever. And it's because they spent a short amount of time. So my advice, my suggestion for folks is go for at least an hour. You don't have to commit to being there. Just go do a couple of laps around. Yeah, how you doing? Da, da, da. What are you working on? Do that. It's important that you show up. It's not important that you stay, but it's important that you show up and some people see your face. You make maybe one connection, and it just allows you to really get connected. And people are in a different state of being during that time. It's a more relaxed time, and those times are important for connecting with human beings and not just a business person.
Very good advice. So it's interesting. I'm more of I don't want to say extrovert because that's supposed to be somebody that gets their energy from people, but I'm not shy. I will go up to people. If I sense a commonality or an interest or something that we can connect on, I will just walk up to people and just introduce myself and start asking questions and talking. But not everybody is like me. And I'm finding actually a lot of people are not like me. A lot of people are very shy. So do you have any more tips or recommendations for people that are shy, but they know that they need to walk up to that person or shake somebody's hand? Things that they can do to break from that shyness and have the courage to do that?
A couple of things. One is, in the words of Russell Simmons, do you. Shy is different from introvert. Like, there's all these different things. It's different from being sensitive. A little bit of the planning in advance helps. The other thing I tell people to do is to remember this acronym that is WHEN, WHEN. And what that allows you to do is take inventory. The number one thing that people said when I did my survey is, I don't think I have anything to offer. I don't feel like I have anything to offer. And that sometimes stops people from going for it. When is W stands for work. So think about your work history. Those things are of value to someone. H is your hobbies, the things you geek out on that you just can't stop talking about. That may be of value to someone. E is your education, and not just in classroom, but the things that you're learning with all of these online courses and things that you're reading. Be ready with those things. And N is your network. Who are the people that you know? Because that is something that may help you to connect someone else to someone else. So be in a role of almost like a servant. You know, how can I be of service to people? So what's going on is through you. It's not about you. Let it be a little bit lighter if you're, you know, if you feel shy about it. Remember, it's not about you. It's about a bigger thing that you're moving forward, and let that help and guide you.
I love that. When I've never heard. Did you come up with that?
Yes, I did.
I love that. Work, hobbies. What was the third one?
Education, and
network. I love that. Yeah, I find I do that kind of intuitively. Just I kind of file through the different topics in my head of when I meet somebody of, okay, like we've talked about, now what do we talk about? And that can definitely help. So any other things to add for during the event, for networking, meeting people, shaking hands?
Well, you just bring up a very important point. Filing through and looking at those things and then thinking about, hey, what to say next. It's okay not to say anything next. I just did a video for Social Media Examiner around this, and it's reminding people that you are at a conference. The rules of engagement, of etiquette, are a little bit different. Not asking anyone to be rude, but understand you can end a conversation just as you can join a conversation. Two people talking, you can join that conversation. This is not, you know, this is a conference. This is people connecting. Yeah, there may be the fear of rejection. Once again, go back to that. Those are weeds. That's not about you. It's about them.
That's a very interesting point, because it's funny you say this. I have no problem meeting people, but I have a huge problem of ending a conversation, because it's not in my nature to feel like I'm offending somebody or cutting something short. So do you have any tips to get out of a conversation? I mean, is it just as simple as that? Like, nice to meet you, see you later? Or do you have any tips for getting out of something in a classy way?
Definitely. One is to there's like just practice. Everyday practice is going to be important. Especially where you mentioned about, hey, you know, I don't want to offend anyone. One, remember, hey, this is a conference. They're not going to be offended.
Mike, this has been a great podcast. I will see you later. Have a good day.
Not like that. That was rude, man. I was in the middle of a sentence.
You said to practice. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But the natural arc in your everyday conversations, in client conversations, watch where there's this natural arc. We're talking, and things stop. Great place to go. Hey, it was nice to meet you, man. It was really good to meet you or see you. See you just in case you don't remember if you met them before. It's really good to see you. I'm gonna go. You know, I'm gonna go talk to some other people. I'm gonna go grab something to eat. I'm gonna grab something to drink. All those things are okay, and you don't feel like you have to go back to them. I tell people, lastly, if the person just seems to hang on, no matter where you go, like you're like, all right, I'm gonna go. Oh, I'll go too. Say, I gotta go to the bathroom. You know, and then. If they still follow you, I can't help. You know, I can't help. Tell them, hey, isn't that Gary V over there? And then go the other way. Run the other way.
That's funny. They're following. I'm picturing like opposite gender, like follows you into the bathroom. Like
it's a problem, or maybe not, depending what you're into. Yeah. I don't judge.
Awesome. So I'm trying to think, you mentioned something earlier about the conference not only being about like the information that you take from the conference. And so obviously the information's part of it. Who you meet is part of it. Is there anything else that you see as a value of what you can take or use from a conference while you're there? Like something that people can think about so they don't get home and they're like, I wish I had done X. Is there anything else we're leaving out that somebody should make sure that they get value from when they're attending an event?
That is a really, really good question, Dan. And where my brain went was two spaces. One is taking advantage of where you are.
Ooh,
what should I see? What should I see? And I have a friend who runs a site called Localer. So that's an app, and it gives you places where the locals go.
Huh.
So Joa Spearman is so Localer is a place that talks about where the locals go, because sometimes people don't want to do the touristy things. They want to know where the locals hang out around here. So that's what his focus is on in his app. So look that up, please. And then there's also, still in vein with the city, is take the time to figure out who do you know in the city or nearby. Send them a message. Connect with some people while you're there. Some friends or what have you. Or at least say, hey, I'm at a conference, crazy busy, but I was thinking of you. So it's another connection point. So that's the bigger networking and connecting process.
Those are two really good answers. Because sometimes I'll go to like Manhattan for a conference and then realize like, I was there. I could have like visited this client or an old colleague or something like that. So that's a really good point, to connect with where you are with other people that might be at that location. Awesome. So we've had the event, we've met people, we've ended conversations successfully by ditching them in the bathroom.
That's right.
Now we get home. What do we do next? Like, what's the immediate, is there something we should do day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 after the event to then further get value out of that?
Pretty much when people ask me, hey, when should I follow up? The simple answer I give is I just say, remember the number 24. 24 represents 24 hours after you've met them, or after the event, because it may be a multiple day event. And then in 24 days, which really represents a month, but it sounds good to just use the number 24.
Right. Easy to remember.
Yeah, easy to remember, but just 24. The first 24 hours is kind of like, hey, I'm glad you met. It's almost like it's the cordial thing to do. You
right.
Appreciate that word. It's the cordial thing to do.
Right. And a little inside joke there.
A little inside joke. It's the cordial thing to do.
Yeah.
But then the next 24 is what separates you from everyone else who just doesn't follow up well.
Interesting.
That's the one that can be as simple as just checking in since the conference. If you're really on point, you've taken some kind of note of what they're working on or something you spoke about, and you can say, how is that thing going?
And obviously the context of this follow-up, it's going to differ depending upon who you've met and what the context of that relationship is. Is that correct?
That is, yes, it definitely is correct, because it may be someone who did hear about the answer you gave to, hey, what are you working on? And they were so like, oh my gosh, that's just what I needed. That's going to be different than just someone who you met, but you may want to stay in touch with them. You want to at least do that 24 and 24 with them, and then just go on from there.
And where should people follow up? Email, social media? Should I follow people that I've met? What do you recommend?
I recommend email. I mean, that's more personal. You did meet them. It's not like they're a random person. I think you should, depending on the context, I would follow them everywhere. LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are the two things that come right away. But depending the kind of conference, like a social media conference, it may be, hey, go for Snapchat, man. But in general, I would say LinkedIn. And then if they're on Twitter.
Awesome. One thing I wanted to jump back to with any phase of this, different types of people will go to conferences for different reasons. And let me explain what I mean. So I, as a business owner or kind of / solo consultant entrepreneur, will go to the conference as me to like help my personal brand or whatever you want to call it and my very small company. Other people might be sent by their company. Maybe they are the social media manager for their brand. Are there different things that you'd recommend for like the different types of people that you would see at the events?
I definitely would. And some of that comes out of the stuff when you're looking at what's your life and business goal. That's the place where you kind of align with, well, my company is sending me, and well, what are their intentions? And once again, not looking at the conference, but hey, what are we working on? How does this conference fit in? Not just, hey, we're going to a conference and let's make a conference goal, but how does it fit in where we're going? The bigger why of what we're doing, and connect that way. And then it kind of trickles from there, from having that understanding, the questions that you'll ask people to get an understanding of where they are and how you want to intersect with them.
My hope is some of the listeners will be marketers and people that do actual marketing on the show, but also business owners and entrepreneurs and startup founders and people that don't do marketing, but they need to know about it. Mm-hmm. And do you find it valuable for either one of those audiences to attend conferences outside of their particular niche, or to experience a diverse amount of types of events and conferences that they go to?
I think yes, with the diversity. And I think the diversity comes both in kind of local, be part of your community. Let the people know you. What's that thing that you can go to monthly? And even if you, once again, just go for half an hour, but make sure you go every month. Mm-hmm. So then people start to get to know you, and they start to say that you were there even when you weren't, which has happened to me. It's like, oh yeah, you were at this event. It's like, okay. I wasn't there. So there's local. And then on the kind of different conferences, I wouldn't necessarily just say different conferences. I definitely say some industry stuff. If there's something particular that your company is twofolds, one either struggling with or an area that you're looking to get into that you're not into yet, so you can learn about it, but then also start to just connect with people in that space. And then also kind of a soul feeding conference, I would say as well. So what Covey would describe as sharpen your saw. So what's that conference? What's that conference that it isn't important for me to tell someone what I'm doing professionally. This is really about filling my bucket and just being at a better place so I can continue to do great work.
It's very interesting. And I find that even at something like that, you wouldn't expect to get business results from it, but very often, because then you're meeting with people that align on your values or mission or whatever it is, then it can turn into a business relationship or result. Do you find that as well?
Yes. That's probably, to be honest, it's the best one, because people are not, their guard is down. It's like you're breathing differently. You're getting to know a human being instead of a title. You know, there's no made up stuff about what is supposed to happen, the way we're supposed to connect, which one of the things I usually tell people is how I define networking. And I have them picture a sterling silver pen or anything that's sterling silver. And part of that, let's just use a pen as an example. Part of that pen, let's say, is tarnished. You know, if you leave sterling silver, it will become black. Now, if that's the first time you've seen sterling silver and someone says, hey, this is sterling silver, and what you see is black, this blackness, you're going to go, sterling silver is ugly. Mm. But now, if you see the other part that's nice and shiny, where you can even see your reflection in it, you can be like, sterling silver is nice. This is networking. It's all sterling silver. But depending on what you've been exposed to, it doesn't have to, but it may dictate the way you frame networking. Networking is icky. I'm not going to use the word networking. It's just connections. I don't care what you call it, right? I don't care what you call it. It is this interaction that's taking place. Know that there's a beautiful way that it can happen.
Very interesting. I love that sterling silver analogy. I'd never heard about it. Is that yours too? Your analogy?
Yes. Because I have a sterling silver pen my wife gave me. And then I was like, Hey, look at this thing. And then I use it in presentations.
I love that. You've got good analogies and acronyms.
I spend days just thinking about this stuff, Dan.
Now I know why we get along. That's exactly what I do too. So the networking stuff is super valuable and helpful, I think. And I think the audience is really going to get a lot out of that. I wanted to do a couple quick hit questions because you have a lot of experience and expertise at not just networking, but other stuff related to business and things. And if you don't mind, I wanted to just do a couple quick hit questions that I think the audience will find interesting to hear your knowledge about. So one is, so you have a psychology degree, correct?
Yeah, and undergrad degree, yes.
Undergrad. Would you say that part of where you see yourself fitting into the world of business is kind of like, maybe you might call it a business psychologist for the digital age?
I don't usually, but I'm going to write that one down.
and you can thank my researcher for that too, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that resonated. So talk to me about that.
It did resonate. I don't usually think about myself like psychologist, but there's something about soft skills. There's something about digital. There's something about liberal arts and technology, like where, oh my God, technology is going to make us be further apart. And I'm like, no, there's some fundamental things about human beings, I think, that won't change. And technology can help us to overcome or enhance those things. People who may not want to meet face to face, but they will write their fingers off, those type of things, and then bringing it together.
So do business owners, I'm thinking from the small business up to big companies and brands, should they be less afraid of technology and more aware of the fact that they can facilitate communication among their people or their people and their customers?
Technology is such a big word. It's such a big word. Like, it's a big and small word, because technology is one of those things. It's what makes things better. Oh, it's technology. Usually when I think technology has to be this computerish type thing, it's just like what moves things forward. Small business and big business, it's just like this huge gap where I can see small business being like, yeah, let's do it, man. Let's try it. Let's try Slack. Where big business is like, well, maybe there's a department that's willing to try Slack. Like, it's just this different layer. But I think you should be looking out for security issues, right? Pay attention to security issues, but then move, try some stuff.
So some businesses are a little paralyzed or maybe fearful of taking on some of these newer technologies.
Yes, fear, and yes, just they live in a bubble. I've been surprised as someone who worked as an operations manager, which you'd be like, well, you're operations manager, this, you know how to move this line. I'm a people person. I love digital stuff. So I was part of Startup Weekend, like stuff that's like, that doesn't make sense. But I'm in that space as well. So when I go and I connect with marketers, let's say who works at a big company, and they don't know how to tweet, they want me to tweet for them, I scratch my head. I'm like, you're in marketing and you don't understand how this thing works? Like, so there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity for some kind of entrepreneurial and looking at what's new and what's hot, and how does that fit into what we're trying to do? Not just because it's new and it's hot, but if it helps us to do things easier, then please give it a try.
Big pet peeve when I see a social media manager tweeting with at somebody at the beginning of their tweet, and then like nobody's going to see it.
Right.
And you're a social media manager. You should know that you got to put the period or whatever it is in front of it. Like, nobody's going to see that tweet if you at them at the beginning. So,
well, here's an interesting thing too. And I don't know exactly how I feel about this yet, but on this manager, someone who's in that position, and then you look them up and their involvement in Twitter is so low.
That's true. Yeah.
Or non-existent.
Yeah.
For me as an outsider, there's a question mark. I don't know. Maybe they're still great at what they do. Maybe they're great at what they do and they just do it for work, but they don't do it personally. But there's something there. There's something there where there's these minimums. You should have at least 1,000, man. You should have at least 1,000 followers, man. You can stop after 1,000, but do the work to get 1,000. by default, by someone seeing that the fact that you are a manager of this company's thing, you should have 1,000. That's just default.
That's
LinkedIn, you got to have, I tell people, remember Levi's jeans, 501. You need to have more than 500 people because then no one will know how many you have.
Right. You 500 plus. Yep.
501. That's all you need.
That's funny. You mentioned a term just a moment ago, operations manager. And I wanted to ask you something in relation to your work with Intel.
Yes.
Can you just discuss and inform the listeners what is meant by lean process knowledge and how is that beneficial to business?
I'm sorry, that is confidential information, which I cannot divulge. No, just kidding. Lean process knowledge basically means when it comes to lean, it's not lean startup, but for me, it was lean manufacturing. It's understanding how process work and how you eliminate waste. Being able to watch something and list all the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means I'm talking to someone. For example, you're doing this podcast and I'm talking to you about all the steps. I'm watching you and I'm asking you questions. Hey, what'd you do there? What button did you press? And then looking at it and seeing, are there places where we can take out steps? So that helps to streamline things. As far as how that helps businesses, it helps them save time. It can help them save time. It can help them save money. If you know of other tools that can go in there, things that we're doing, questions like why, right? Help. It's like, why are we doing this? Well, it's how we always done it. But the universe has changed. So we don't need to. There's a different way of doing it.
So companies should be updating their processes quite often.
They should pick a time, even if it's just annually, go through the process. It takes work though, but just go through and see, hey, what are the steps? Is there anything that has changed or things that waste that has crept in? It doesn't stay lean. There's always things that we do that complicate things. So how do we stay fresh on that?
Awesome. I learned something on that. I'm not as you know, I'm not like a process type of person. So that's not where my knowledge is. So I learned something there. That's great.
Yeah.
One more of the quick hit questions here, and then we're going to announce the contest and then kind of wrap things up. But you mentioned hip hop affirmations. Tell us what that is. And do you have a favorite hip hop affirmation?
Well, hip hop affirmation is basically, I'm a guy, well, you can't probably see me right now, but I'm a black dude originally from Brooklyn, New York. So I grew up with hip hop. And I get a visceral response when I hear something, visceral being I get goosebumps, when I hear something that moves me. And I found these lyrics that move me, form of motivation. And I just started capturing the lyrics, and I thought the lyric wasn't enough. I had to add an affirmation which gave me and the listener something to do. Affirmation, the way that I describe affirmation, or the way it usually sounds is like, it could be like, I am good enough, or I will do something well today, that kind of thing. The way I define affirmation really is, regardless of where you are, your environment, your affirmation is choosing your swagger. That's what affirmation is. I'm going to tell you how it's going to go down today. Doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter if it's snowing, doesn't matter if it's sunny. I'm going to choose. So affirmation for me, it's a choice.
I love it. And what is an example of a hip hop affirmation that you like, and tell us who it's by?
So all the affirmations are mine, are original affirmations. I create them based on a lyric.
Got it.
So the question may be, hey, what's a lyric? One lyric that usually resonates with me, actually, let me see what's been on my mind lately, because there's one that I could give you, but something that's been on my mind lately has been, ain't too many categories that I fit in when it comes to spitting because I'm overqualified for the position. Ooh. That's one that's been going in my mind, and there's more to it. Laser guided, lyrical hybrid, lyrics so sick I have to arm wrestle my pen to write it. But that first part, that's by Cannabis, and that first part around of ain't too many categories I can fit in. It's because kind of where I am and who I am with having a diverse background, sometimes that can be a challenge when it comes to looking at, hey, if I want to go and do some kind of full-time work, It's like, well, I don't know where to place you. Like there's this box that I'm trying to be placed in. It's like, we don't know where to put you. So that's why that stands out. An affirmation that may come from that with is it may be like, I belong, because there's a feeling of you don't fit in. So the affirmation may be more something like, there is a place for me. So like that's the reminder. There is a place just for me.
So I like that. So you take the lyric and what the writer is going through in that lyric or expressing, and you turn that into an affirmation off of that.
Yes.
Great. And then the affirmation is something is it something you say to yourself?
Exactly. It's something you would say to yourself.
I love it. So, and one last quick question. Do you have a favorite hip hop artist, MC, lyricist?
Oh, I'm so biased. I'm so Jay-Z biased, Brooklyn guy. I'm just Jay-Z biased.
I had Ross Simmons on the show a few episodes ago, and that was his choice as well. It was Jay-Z. Yeah. So I'm that's now 2 for 2 on.
That's it. I'm totally biased, man. It's just, I wrote my book and it had so many Jay-Z lyrics in there, and not on purpose. It's just people would flip through it. So you're a fan of Jay-Z, huh? It's like, oh, I didn't notice. So.
Awesome. This question just popped into my head, and I know I'm planning on ending the episode, so I'm sorry I'm kind of dragging it out for the listeners. If you're like, you said you're going to end it and say the contest and you lied to us. No. This is interesting. So we're going to stick with this for a second. So some people on the outside, they look at hip hop as being aggressive or negative or, having bad connotations to it. But you look at somebody like Jay-Z and you're seeing positive elements about what he's talking about and turning those into affirmation. So just speak to that a little bit. I mean, there's obviously two sides to the coin with hip hop in positivity, negativity. Just talk to me about that a little bit.
The simplest way that I've learned is looking at human beings. Let's start there. And knowing that as human beings, we contradict ourselves. If you can live with that, everything else is simpler. Like, know that I said one thing, I did another. Or at this time, even better, I said this thing, and at this now I believe something else. So besides the hip hop lyrics, which I'm going to get into your question specifically, the person who best describes this for me is Ralph Waldo Emerson, who talks about consistency, like the hobgoblin of consistency, because we're sold on consistency. Man, you got to be consistent. We're sold on consistency. Like, you have to be consistent, but you don't have to be consistent. That's someone else telling you have to be consistent. You are consistent overall. And this is what I believe right now, right? Like, learn to own that. Okay, now into the specific question itself. I pull out things that move me. The lyric may sound bad. It may have bad words in it, quote unquote bad words, but it's what moves me, and I know that it moves someone else to do something good. The song could be a song that's totally just, I'm going to use the word not good, but because I can't think of another one, but it just represents things that I wouldn't take in its entirety and say, yeah, that's my jam. But something in there. Because to me, there's something about life. And this is where I grew up, in a place that wasn't necessarily all positive. But I'm able to pull something out of this situation. And it's the way I look at all of life, actually. This situation is not all good, but there's this little bit right here. And that little bit can be the thing that changes everything. If you're able to find the little bit, no matter where you are, some may call it silver lining, the little bit. That's all it takes, is a little bit to make a big change. So that's how I look at hip hop and negative. I'm taking a little bit that can help to make a big change for someone.
I love it. I'm glad I asked, because I loved that answer, and I hope the listeners appreciate that as well. I know some listeners will be hip hop fans. For anybody that knows me, hopefully I've attracted some people that also like hip hop into the show. So we're going to wrap things up in just a second. So contest time. Here's what we're going to do. So Mike, tell us what the prize will be for the winner of this contest.
Well, the winner of the contest will get a complimentary 30-minute consultation with myself around prepping for their next conference. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to have 2 different winners. One around this, the conference networking, and another one that will win a copy of my book. They'll just send you the address, and then actually just email. I'll send them the PDF. I'll send them the PDF. So one can win the consultation with me, 30 minutes. And we'll go through, hey, what's going on with your conference? What's the biggest challenges you have? And then we'll work through that. And the second winner will get a PDF copy of my book, Move the Crowd, 30 Days of Hip Hop Affirmation. And in there, I'll also throw in the soundtrack as well.
Great. I love it. Thanks for being so generous with that, giving away 2 prizes. So here's how you win. The person that tweets, the 2 people randomly chosen that tweet this episode number 9 with Mike Bruny with the hashtag #EOnTheWire. That's the letter E and then the words on the wire, standing for, of course, experts on the wire. For those of you that aren't quick enough to figure that out, tweet that. We're going to choose 2 random winners, 1 for each of those prizes. And that's very generous of you. Thank you for that. And with that, and as I'm realizing I have a client phone call right now, we're going to wrap up the show there. But just tell us, lastly, where people can find you online or where you would like to direct them.
You can hit me up on Twitter, Ambassador Bruny. That's BRUNY. That's a great way to connect with me, and then we can go from there.
Wow, what a fantastic episode with Mike Ambassador Bruny. I hope you found that useful for your next networking event. Please join us for episode 10 of Experts on the Wire on Friday with Christy Hines, sharing tons and tons of resources and tools for content creation and blogging. Thanks for tuning in. Please leave us a review in the iTunes store, and we will see you next time. And music by me.